Hi, have a nice day. This is Hasnain Mahmood from International Islamic University Chittagong, Bangladesh. Welcome to my presentation. Title of my paper is Contemporary Global Challenges of Applying the International Law of Armed Conflict. Thanks to our organizers and the committee for giving me opportunity uh, to present my presentation, and thanks to all of the members of the Institute for Cultural Revision Policy ICRP and Cisco 2021. Now I would like to start my presentation. Have enjoy. Here is the contents of my presentation. First of all, abstracts, then introduction, then aims of the paper and methodology, literature review, global challenges, and then contemporary global challenges in context of the armed conflict, the international legal frameworks, and the contemporary global challenges, and then recommendations and conclusion. First of all, my discussion is instruct numerous today's scenario may not encompass the traditional idea of international war, wherein each or even more regions utilize military against each other, as well as traditional armed conflicts, and so there are wars among government armed military agencies inside a separate particular and a specific territory. The ILOAC is changing with the respect of how armed conflict or wars are resolved. The rise of internationalized conflicts is the result of new types of armed conflict. There are a number of problems with international law of armed conflict, including ambiguity in the distinction of violence, changing type of actor involved, issuing of asymmetric method of war, challenging of negative reciprocity, and inhibited ability to engage with all parties to a armed conflict. The international law of armed conflict changes slowly and sometimes not at all because of agreement about new laws and impracticality of changing existing law. Policymakers and think tanks examine the effect of global challenges such as climate change, food crisis, financial crises such as poverty, urbanization, water crisis, energy security, migration, population growth, and then introduction. With emerging of world, different sector and aspects are changing time to time. In this case, situations of wars are more critical situation than the past time. Advancement of the modern high-tech technology is ongoing. For this reason, method of means of wars shows more advanced and scientific based. Nowadays, policymakers and think tanks engage to find out pathways to handle critical and difficult situations of wars through conducting researches and projects. Since the beginning time of the human being on the earth, different wars and conflicts are continuing. Day by day, it was turned into armed conflict or war when human beings learned to involve arms in war. As per present situation, the COVID-19 pandemic makes it challengeable. Different humanitarian organizations like ICRC are providing their effort as per rules and regulations of humanitarian law. to the vulnerable people such as civilians, wounded people, displaced people, refugees, women. Aims of the paper. Every research paper is made by focusing some key points, contains aims and objectives. This paper has some aims and objectives such as following: to define and clarification global challenges, to make list of contemporary global challenges, to clarify international legal frameworks to tackle contemporary global challenges in the context of ILOAC, to discuss on contemporary global challenges in application of rules of ILOAC, to depict the recommendation to face and tackle the contemporary global challenges through application of the rules and regulation of the international law of. And then I'd like to say about research methodology of the paper. This paper is based on the qualitative study method. It has been explained through utilizing various official informal references. I have utilized resources from different articles, newspapers, blogs, and research papers, etc. Literature review. Here I utilize and studied different articles, research papers, blogs of renowned author and researchers. On the basis of the opinion, Thurer, it is automated system and unmanned devices which can run unmanned remotely. Extreme brutality can be happened through applying this method of war, and many civilians and vulnerable people could be destroyed. On the basis of two renowned authors that terrorism is in existence, the civilians may be more vulnerable due to endless risk of attacks by terrorists. On the basis of the opinion of the Lindstrom, he said in 2012, it is hard to know if someone is combatant in wars and not as civilians. Loy and Copeland said the USA attacked Nagasaki and Hiroshima through nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are combinations of the fusions and fissions which provide destructive energy by delivering the nuclear energy. On the basis of the opinions of the Matthew Dearden and the Richards in 2007, UK needs to control and tackle the all activities the private military and security companies under the specific law and regulation. And then I'd like to discuss about the global challenges. Here is the definition of the global challenges. Global challenges means to challenge means to the challenges is anything challenging and the unfamiliar that necessarily involves the huge amount of efforts and the persistence. To identify the global challenges, it is not work of only authority and organization alone. To identify the global challenges, uh, together work is needed by authorities, international bodies, and NGOs. And then there are several contemporary global challenges in context of armed conflict. Ensuring safeguarding the civilians from the negative impacts of hostilities, utilization of explosive nuclear, ensuring protection the civilians and vulnerable people, safeguarding the vulnerable internally displaced people, safeguarding the vulnerable people with disabilities, providing access of the education in the time of the war, utilization high-tech advanced technologies with the artificial intelligence, and the application of the ILOAC into the world, and the negative and destructive impacts of the climate on climate and the environment and there is several international legal frameworks and instruments to tackle the contemporary global challenges in the context of the ILOAC. First of all, Hague Regulation, which was enacted in 1907. There is a several Geneva Convention, there is a whole Geneva Convention and additional two protocols of the Geneva Conventions, which was enacted to tackle the global challenges which were happened due to the war. Here is the contemporary global challenges in the application of the rules of the international law of armed conflicts, lack of respect, lack of compliance mechanisms, availability of the weapons, the war on terror, direct participation in hostilities, lack of political will, implement the law, the prevention, commercialization, wars, automations of wars and cyber warfare, no cooperations of states, asymmetric war, urban armed conflict restriction on the ICS. There is a several recommendations to face the contemporary global challenges by the application of the rules of law. Healthcare institutions and groups should be placed in the such where the case administration do not endanger their safety. The unique emblem of the Red Cross and Red Crescent must be engraved to recognize medical institutions, group, transport vehicles, and staff. And when research is developing, acquiring the choosing the new weapons means techniques and completely should be decided what is used will be forbidden by the international law among the some conditions. And the strategy should be decided to make the notice of the hospital shifts. Action should be taken to safeguard the intellectual heritage. Legal counsel should be hired and the ICRC as agreement must be made possible existed. Global evidence processes and charities must be actively encouraged. The use of court office billing to resolve the disputes must be largely facilitated. Healthcare zones and locations the wounded soldiers and sick will be formed, and the medical facilities and safe area. The local areas civilians shall be developed. At the last of the my presentation, I will discuss the conclusions. The international law of armed conflict cannot be undertaken by a single state, but by the international agencies. Collaborations of the all states must be formed to tackle the contemporary global challenges, which are happened due to the uh, armed conflicts. Thank you. Thank you to all participants and the organizations of audience